Okay, so I don't know how unique woods look, but we're in a kind of new stretch of woods adjacent to the Five Bogs today, and although it's been quiet in this area, we're going to look around for a sign. In a couple of areas that are kind of adjacent to where I've been before, if I can get through the undergrowth of this. There's a lot of down crap in here now that I notice. So we'll see what we can do in here. And to the people that are going to mention all the X structures and things in here, I know. And if the camera's shaky, again, this is my first time out with this particular one. It's a it's the same model of the one that died in the electrical area earlier in the year. I think I have, well, I haven't uploaded the videos yet due to my own lethargy, but I have had mixed experiences with smaller gimbal cameras. The Fimi Palm I had for about, the Fimi Palm 2 I had for about 2 months, 3 months, and suddenly it died on me. So I guess that's an exercise in getting what you pay for, because it wasn't really that expensive. Worked good while I had it in most respects, but as far as, there's an opening over here, let's go take a look at that. But as far as the lifespan, its predecessor had lasted 3 years, whereas 3 months isn't really that great. That led me to the Pocket 2, a DJI camera that is a flat-out scam, as far as I'm concerned. The camera itself is probably fine, but it comes up with an application that requires you to activate it. And when I have a hardwired connection to the camera and the phone, and the thing won't detect the camera, and you only get 5 tries before the thing bricks the camera, which means it's basically unusable. The camera becomes unusable at that point, and that is, in my mind, that's a straight up scam. You can't, I don't see how you can justify that. The camera's like well over 200 bucks and all that, but it honestly, it wants you to activate it. And, I have DJI drones. I just flew one. Activation there makes sense because you have to register with the FAA with drones of a given type and size. But a camera is a camera is a camera, and to expect me to have to do that, frankly, is ridiculous. Oh, it's a river. Let's go look at the river. See if there's anything going on over there. That to me is just like ridiculous. So one died due to fragility. The other one, it's a scam, as far as I'm concerned. And I got what the hell they call it? So I'm trying to make my way through this loveliness. I don't know if you can see all this. Nope. All this loveliness. Nice thing about having one of these before is I know the controls fairly well too. I don't have to fart with it past the point. Alright, how am I going to get through this? This is actually trickier than I thought. It's like a maze. if this is doable. That sucked. Test my flexibility. Yeah, so cameras are kind of a sore subject at the moment, I guess. Other news, I made a ranty video last week, and then kind of discovered I had the 360 camera pointing the direction I didn't want to have. This is what happens when you don't practice with a camera, per se. So, that's kind of the joke on me. So the actual forest floor, I think I'm going to have to tweak the pan on this, because it's a little faster than I'd like. But yeah, the camera was pointing at me the whole time. That's not what I wanted, so I'm going to have to decide what I want to do about that. If I want to air that or not. Because I actually was in some nice surroundings and I got none of it, so joke's on me. Joke's on me, joke is by me. So there you go. As much as this is new territory, I kind of sort of think I know where I am. Then we're going to go into another area that's, if I had to get, it's on the other side of this little river down here. Hold on. If you can see that. Oops. Right there. There you go. The zoom on this one is better than the other two also. The Fimi could zoom when it wanted to, but the trouble with a gimbal camera that small is the controls are so finely tuned that it's kind of a pain to try to get through that. Suddenly I have the impression I came in the hardest way possible, and now it's not getting so bad. It's a joke's on me kind of day. Anyway, in this lovely leaf litter, you're not going to find a lot of tracks, though. That might work with me. That stuff, there you go. So if you actually did have some interesting stuff, that's run of the mill. Don't get me going on stick structures again. Way too much credence given to stick structures. I know that ticks off certain people, but it just get to a point where you can't fuel the BS anymore. Ideally, if you want to prove something, you are looking for hard evidence. I think we're actually in the area where I lost a tripod a couple of years ago. It's kind of funny if I found it now. If the elements haven't eaten it or other things. So on the off chance that I don't post the other video, because it was giving me a hard time with the editing factor too, just some of the things I was trying to get it to do. Couple of rants. The first one being that there's a guy out there, the head of Grendel Films. He was claiming a copyright over the original Patterson-Gimlin film. Apparently he claims he found the original actual film like in the old school theater reel, like the metal reel case. And he basically was claiming, you know, my whole reputation's based on copyright. Like, okay, that's great. But after a brief, I won't call it a conversation, I'll call it an exchange with the gentleman trying to point out his flaw in copyright, as it is kind of a peeve of mine when people misrepresent it. Number one, because I think, you know, if you know me from Facebook, you know I take pictures fairly often while I'm out here, and I have had people use my stuff without my permission, and that's a little thing called plagiarism. May not be illegal, but it is unethical, and it is a scummy thing to do. So this kind of falls in that same neighborhood. I've also been threatened with a subpoena over a bogus copyright back in 2013. And so these things, they do tend to irk me somewhat. So the bottom line, the guy finally fesses up. He's like, well, you know, I think it's Patterson's widow, Patricia, I think it was Patterson, gave him usage rights, so he claims. Now, if you Google usage rights, those are not copyright. That is limited use of another person's copyright. Limited use of another person's copyright. Notice how I just stood there and waited until I got my foot loose rather than trip. Forest Ninja skill. Or sounds cool. Anyway. So yeah, the claim was bogus, and then comically he accused me of being somebody I'm not, because apparently the other person, there is another Mike Humphrey down south. I forget what state. I want to say Oklahoma. I could be wrong. But he apparently got into a big dust-up with that person on that person's forum. I don't currently have a forum, so it's not me. Sorry. Sorry, pal. But he accused me of being that person, and then he goes on another Facebook group and basically, I'm sorry, Meta. I'm not going to call it Meta. I'm going to call it Facebook. And he said that the other Mike Humphrey had threatened him. And pointing out somebody's wrong take on copyright is not threatening anyone. It is a person who, aside from being a bitter little pill, is not somebody who handles criticism well. But you don't have copyright, you have usage rights. Because he went on to claim, well, I think I'm the sole copyright owner. Like, no. If the woman has passed on, and none of the people surrounding the PGF film on any level are getting any younger, sorry to be the bearer of blunt news, but they're not. In a case like that, the copyright goes to A, the next of kin, or B, the estate, unless it was laid out differently. Those details would be in the person's will. So, not to be a stickler, but Grendel guy, if he's claiming that he has copyright, is mistaken unless he has paperwork to back that up. If he doesn't, then he's making stuff up. And slandered one of the Mike Humphreys by saying they had threatened him when they haven't. Not sure how that would play out in court, but just making that observation. Also, what else was there? Oh yeah, there's Porcupine Gate. Chris Noel and his obvious porcupine. During the course of the week, I got into it with his followers, who are, of course, going to be religiously faithful to him. The question I have is, last I knew, Noel was a member of the BFRO. So what do people like Moneymaker, the people in charge, make of this whole thing with him? You know, are you going to stand by him, call him out, throw him out? I mean, personally, I would throw him out because he's embarrassing your group. But that's me. Anyway, we are going to end this segment right now and move to the other area and see what happens there. This is kind of a tangly area apparently, but we got through it, and we'll move on. Thank you. All right, so we're in that other area, or getting there. Apparently what I didn't think was a vehicular trail goes a little further, although it's muddy and scumpy and all. But it does kind of lead in the direction I was going to kind of want to get to anyway, so if this makes that task that little bit much easier, I'm not going to complain about that. Follow this for a little bit and segue off if we find something interesting. Kind of looking off over the hill to see if there's an opening in there. It kind of looks like there was at one point, but where this goes is interesting too, so. This is kind of like what we're getting into. A lot of the leaves are down, so you're dealing with like ferns and things of that nature on the forest floor. What's that? That looks, I'm going to keep my eye open, but that looks like a boot print, honestly. And given it, yeah, that's a boot print. So, see if I find anything else interesting, but I can basically see tread on that one though, so that tells me there's somebody hiking through here too. Obviously I'm not the first person in here, but that's life. And the last bit of gossip, I guess, if we're doing gossip, is the, it's something petty, but once upon a time, not so long ago, I, without naming names, mentioned a group that was in the neighborhood, and I've had less than perfectly friendly dealings with the gentleman that runs the group. Well, come to find out, after posting a comment having nothing to do with him or his group on Facebook, I was thrown out of the group once. I asked why. I was not given a straight answer, but yeah, this looks like it opens up here, so let's see where this goes. And he gave a very passive-aggressive answer after posting something on his group, basically calling me indirectly an internet troll, which is A, not appreciated, and B, when a comment was not directed at you and had nothing to do with you, kind of hard to understand why you're taking it so personally. I have to leave the trail here. because it gets all swampy. So we'll take to the high ground and maneuver. Come to find out, I'm on moderator, what do they call that? They have to approve my posts before I do anything. I was asking people how they had made out with the nor'easter we had a couple of weeks ago, because a lot of people in that particular state lost power. And that's when I realized my posts weren't going to make it because I'm not approved, I guess. Which is passive aggressive and stupid. Wasn't even a hostile comment, but you know, that's how you want it. I guess it sucks to be me then when it comes to that group, but whatever. I'm over it. Bits of gossip. Last week seemed like there was a fair amount of gossip, and then I'm waiting for the blowback against Steve Kulls. He did a show where he was basically calling out the nonsense, and that usually results in people getting grumpy. Usually the people that have things to lose when they get called out, just kind of saying. Okay. Alright, so where did the trail kind of conk on us? No, it's sort of still here. I guess it's just going to be flooded in certain spots. It did rain all day yesterday, now that I remember. At least down in my home state, but if kind of like it looks like this is going to run adjacent to the wetland we just walked by. That makes sense, but let's see here. So we can go through the uprooted trees, or we can try to jump the stream. Let's do uprooted trees. Probably have to jump the stream further up here anyway. This is one of those things where does it turn into something, or am I just going deeper into the woods for the sake of going deeper into the woods? This ground is kind of like really uneven. That's just more trees. Jump the little stream, well, streams. And yet another stream. Shit. And yet another one. We're going to go up that hill, and if it doesn't turn into anything, I think it might not be worth twisting your knee or something in here. But we'll see if my gut is correct, though. We're going to basically end up adjacent on the high ground behind that wetland, or it's just going to be more woods. But definitely is uphill, though. And the winning vote goes to more woods. let's... As much as I want to think that's a clearing, it isn't. It's just more trees. So I am going to seg brake here and consider my options. Okay, so we're kind of working our way back. Actually, it's a lot of deadfall and the lichen, a lot of the ground is soft too where it gets slippery, so I don't think I'm going to risk slipping or doing something to injure myself at this point. So the area remains quiet for the most part, and I am probably going to need to at some point maneuver around the various waterways here, because the trail is challenged by little streamlets like this, so paying attention to terrain might take priority. I always found this stuff kind of neat though, if you can see this right here. This lichen, whatever this stuff is. If somebody would like to educate me on what that is in the comments, I would appreciate that, because I always think it's kind of a cool looking thing, and wouldn't mind knowing what the name of that stuff is. Okay. Don't trust the stuff. It will be amazing if I come out of this with dry feet of any kind. All these little streamlets and mud and the like. But alright, so what we learned, the trail does go further. If you want to call this a trail, it's a... Or somebody drove a pickup truck up here once and went a little further back than he would have thought before it got too crazy for him, but it's an ingress to interesting places. Once we probably be easier going if the ground wasn't so wet right now. But I think that is it for this one. So we're going to basically say like and subscribe if you do have, if you're of a mind to do so, and we're going to call this one here. And thank you for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.